Everyone eats out, but people often miss how the food arrives on their plate. Every meal has a story of growers, suppliers, founders, and operators making it all happen. Welcome to Grounded. I'm Lauren Mitchell, and each week I will bring you conversation with the amazing people behind the brands you know and the ones you'll want to know. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, the leading food service digital procurement network, powered by data, software, and collaborative relationships. Let's get grounded. Today's guest is someone who has built a dynamic career blending culinary innovation, a competitive spirit, and a commitment to healthy living. He's a standout athlete, one of my favorite people in the industry. Get this, in his youth, he became the second youngest polo player to win the U.S. Open Polo Championship. In 2020, he was honored with the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and he's built one of the nation's top healthy dining restaurant chains with over 800 team members, transforming the way consumers experience nutritious, fast casual meals. Founder and CEO of Bolay Fresh Bold Kitchen, Chris Gannon. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Lauren, thank you for having me. Such an honor to be here and hopefully share our story and inspire someone to go do something great.
I have no doubt. Well, let's get right into it. Again, you've got such an awesome background, not to mention family experience in the business. And I kind of want to start there as well as just overall leadership and strategy. So what would you say has had the biggest impact on the way that your business has found success, speaking in terms of, say, a leadership principle or a specific strategy?
Yeah, I think, growing up in the industry, and I think it starts really even more so than, my father and all the success he had in the industry. It was really started, I would give so much homage and credit to my mother, like growing up in New Orleans, Louisiana, taking care of people in the Big Easy when they came over to our house. Like we were as little kids told, you immediately show our guests that come in our home where the restroom is, offer them a drink and make sure they're comfortable the whole time. And we walk them out the door when they leave. And, those three little simple principles are the same things that we do in the restaurant day in and day out. When someone chooses, we're humbled that they choose to come to us versus all the other restaurant chains that they have. And I would say from two leadership principles first, one that my father's kind of instilled in my head is the sacred guest intent to return. Without the guest's intent, and I say guests because we look at them as guests in Bolay, not customers, our guests' intent to return. If they do not want to come back after their experience, we don't have a restaurant concept, restaurant company. And then the second is culture first and lead with humility. Always know that we are always learners. We can always learn something new every day. We can grow, we can be better. Take fast and make it faster, take sharp and make it sharper, and believe that no matter what we do every day, we can do it just a little bit better. And that's kind of been that good to great mentality that we just kind of push. The team probably gets a little tired of me coming in every day pushing, but and then I'll stop babbling here. But I look at it as we've all worked out, right? It's so hard to do 10 push-ups for an example, and you have a coach there and you can do 8, and that coach is pushing you to do that next 2. And I think that's what the leader's job is, to always help encourage and push the teams to find that extra 2 push-ups that they may or may not have had. And for running, that extra 2 miles, right? To our world, running.
That's exactly right. Very cool. So spirit of hospitality. And for those that don't know, Chris's father, Tim Gannon, the co-founder of Outback Steakhouse. What's most interested me is take someone like you who started, again, family business, raised by your mom's spirit and your dad's just example. But yet the food service is one of the hardest and toughest markets to break into. Yet here you are with your own brand. What truly inspired you to stay in the business? And was that a question at some point, or did you just always know?
It's a great question because I grew up in it, and my father always said, "Chris, don't do this business. It's so difficult." And I listened to him. I do listen to a lot of people. And so then I went and obviously tried to become a professional athlete and had a journey there. And it was wonderful, teamwork and all the fun, but it just wasn't as fulfilling as I thought, mentally stimulating. Then I got into marketing. I was a full service partner at a marketing ad agency. and something just pulled me back to the restaurant business. And I think when it's in your blood, it's just in your blood. And if you truly enjoy taking care of others, and I think I've kind of learned that my purpose in life is to try and make everybody just a little bit better. Um, and I drive a lot of happiness when I go in the restaurants and you see someone walk out and they're happy and they're just like, yep, did our job. That was it. Check. And so it's a million details to get right every single day. And we're so blessed and honored to be surrounded by such incredible team members that want to keep pushing our mission to fuel people to be their best through our great food, but also through our culture. And I think this business is hard, 7 days a week, day in and day out. And I always remind people that, when most people are, kind of clocking out Friday at 5, our team, we have some team members and a manager and a leader who are just getting ready to start their evening shift. And when people are out on a holiday day, our team members are in the walk-in cooler, getting food out and getting prepared to serve our guests every day. It's a tough business, but it's such a rewarding business because what it can do for our team, but also our guests and humanity in general.
Uh, That's so great. I mean, I think you touched a little bit on it. Just one of the standout qualities from my perspective of Bolay is just the culture. When I've bumped into you and your team members at events, you're at the show in the day, but you're all getting together to go for a run in the early mornings. Pretty sure you have a tri team, but talk to me more just about the culture and exactly what it is that someone can expect when they walk into Bolay outside of it's a guest and not a customer, and talk to me about that culture piece.
Yeah, I think it really stems from um, creating it within the team first. And when the team is doing well and they're all rowing the boat in the same direction, for example, and they like each other and they like coming to work with each other, that transpires and transcends down into the guest experience. If they truly enjoy being there, they're going to work harder for each other. They're going to go above and beyond. And one of our core values is teamwork. And yes, we talk about it. Yes, we have it written on the wall. But if you don't select talent, and we call it talent in Bolay, we don't call it people, we call it talent. If you don't select talent that aligns with your values, it's going to be difficult to win. And so the hardest part, the best part you got to get is in the selecting of talent stage. And Deanne Turner from Chick-fil-A, a dear friend of mine, taught me that it all starts in the early stages where you select the right people that are in your tribe. And every restaurant's got its own DNA and its own tribe.
So great. All right, let's back out of the restaurant specifically. We'll get back to the brand in a little bit. And I want to talk about just the industry as a whole. So again, having been in the business early on and now current, what would you say has been the greatest change just in the supply chain or really just in the restaurant industry as a whole from 2 decades ago?
It's interesting. I thought deep and hard on that question because the case of broccoli still shows up in the case of broccoli. I think now the technology in the ordering systems and the integrations has gotten exponentially better. But really, with all the tech and everything, how are you going to incorporate tech? And I'm probably answering some questions here. It goes back to the early days when we didn't have it. Like you get the food, you make it with integrity, you make it taste great, you make sure the restaurant's clean, the lights are on, every light bulb, the music's perfect, the air conditioning's right. I call it the 6 senses of the restaurant business. You've got your 5, right? Sight, sense, smell, touch, and feel, if you will. And then the restaurant set 6 sense. That feeling in the back of your head that when someone walks in the door, a mom with a stroller, to go and give her support, or an elderly person that needs a little help with the door. That's that 6 sense that you can't teach or feel. But I would say at the end, it's still the basic principles of ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. However, we just have a lot more technology now to allow us to focus on that versus some of the minutia. But we're still a long ways away. Our technology in this industry is it's not up to where it should be in with the day and age of AI, but it's coming. We feel it. We can smell it.
What role does AI play in your business right now? Would you mind sharing? Are you guys using it at all, and in what ways?
Well, first, I'm not real right now. You're talking to an AI robot. kidding. I thought I'd throw that in there. Um, who knows when that's going to come? But really, we're using it. I'll give you a perfect example. We were sitting there at a restaurant one day, and we were talking about rolling out our char grills, which we're so excited about doing. And the team goes, we're talking about, writing a procedure for it and this and that. And I'm a little bit of an early adopter and always pushing it. And as they're talking about it, oh guys, we're gonna, have a meeting later this week. We're gonna get something. We'll get it in test. Blah blah. Blah. I was below the desk writing it in AI, and I had copied and pasted and sent the entire SOP to them before the conversation was even done. And it just raised eyebrows and what it showed.
Yeah.
And that wasn't perfect, right? We still have, we're no longer the authors. We're now just editors is what I love. But it just shows that what someone can accomplish, we can just accomplish in a 3 to 5 times X speed. We're really looking forward to what it's going to do in regards to, forecasting, analytics, things that, our God-given brains are amazing, but a computer can do a little bit faster. I don't think it can dream. I don't think it can give a great hospitality experience, but it can get an on par, on hand order accuracy, efficient team schedule written, a P&L analytic tool that can analyze your P&L faster than anything. So yeah, it's all coming down the pipeline and we're excited for it. But it's not going to replace hospitality. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So a little bit similar. I imagine some people can incorporate AI into new item selection and reviewing kind of area demos. But I'm just curious, before AI and just in years past, how has Bolay specifically leaned into trends to drive some of the decisions within either your menu or just how you're operating? Are you relying on guest feedback? What are some of the other tentacles that you have out there that actually you can apply towards your business in real time?
Um, well, it's a great question. We try not to chase trends, especially when you go to all these wonderful conferences and you show us the new shiny object. Because I was guilty of really doing that early on in my career, and it's exciting. Because good old fashioned, tried and true, let's call it restaurant equipment per se works. You incorporate a lot of technology in the back of the house. Technology and grease don't always go so well together, and we learned that the hard way. But we really always put decisions to our core values. We put them through to make sure they align with our mission or vision. And then along with that to see, is it going to enhance the guest experience and is it going to enhance the team experience? And it's difficult because there is such new, incredible, shiny objects out there. But you just got to make sure that they align with our values.
Love it. All right, let's talk about growth strategy. How have you guys planned just talk to me about the strategy in the past for getting outside of your current state, Florida, and some of the challenges that may come of that. Talk to us just about growth. What does that look like for Bolay?
Growth is wonderful. It's the oxygen that feeds talent. I truly believe that. So having a growth business is wonderful in so many ways. It helps our vendor partners. It helps everybody. But sometimes you don't want to just grow for growth's sake. And we learned that the hard way. Sometimes you can outgrow your operational excellence, your team. And sometimes success leads to, mistakes, if you will. And so we've learned a lot during the journey. Like any business, it's got its challenges and growth. It's not all just a perfect trajectory up, which you think it is until it's not. But I think sometimes it's okay to pull back on your growth journey to really focus on the foundation of your home and core business and build it stronger. And a lot of people sometimes focus so heavily on new restaurant growth, new unit, they call it. But really, where the real telltale sign of a business is the same store sales growth, growing your existing footprint, your existing restaurants, and then more so growing your people. So making sure that we're constantly developing and breaking our people up to where they perform at a higher level, and then growing into markets that we see fit to expand our vision. But we've got something different that doesn't exist out there with our flavors, 100% gluten-free menu. And I think that, America, and then one day maybe the world will want to taste it and fuel people to be their best.
Absolutely. So for someone who hasn't been into Bolay, maybe pick a favorite dish. What can you expect in terms of the menu items? You've mentioned gluten-free. You know, what can they expect in terms of the items on the menu and you know what they can enjoy?
Yeah. So the best way to describe it is, you know how you go to lunch
Mhm.
and sometimes you eat and then you come back and after about an hour or two, you feel like you need to take a nap and then you got to get that coffee to bring you
Yeah.
back up. So Bolay doesn't do that.
Mm.
Bolay lifts you up after, and it's the most amount of nutrients per caloric intake. And that's what we try to do. And then we learned early on, and it's something that's just deep into my restaurant veins, is it's got to taste good. You got to
Yeah.
have incredible flavor profiles to make sure that guests intend to return. People come for the way it feels. Does the brand align with their values? But their main reason they come for is the flavors in the food. Does it taste good? Do I want to eat this again? Does it have that comeback flavor, that ability to spark and invigorate your tongue and then all the way back to the back of your palate? And then making sure the flavors go together. And then the most important part is consistency, making sure that you're making the food consistently the same every day at every restaurant across the brand. Now, that is the really big challenge that faces a lot of brands. And I think when
Absolutely.
you focus on that, that's the key to success.
Absolutely. Consistency and then especially on the, heel of talking about growth here, that is the key. And it kind of segues into my next question in terms of just your supplier partners, and across any category. Can you give an example of an outstanding way that a vendor partner or supplier either pushed Bolay into a new decision path, towards either an item, or an area where maybe you didn't expect to go, but now has just been a key part of your success?
Well, it's such a great conversation, Lauren, because I mean, I read a book once by Kip Kimball, from the Container Store founder, and he
Hmm.
calls it filling the other guy's basket. And when they were going through tough times, how they would lean on their vendor partners to support them. And then when their vendor partners are going through tough times, they would make large purchase orders to help them. And I
Yeah.
never forgot that. And so, I think leaders are readers. So you never know where you're getting great information. And so for me, we've always had the mentality that we can't serve our guests if our vendor partners aren't serving us. If we don't get that truck delivery of food, we don't have anything to cook. And so we love our vendor partners. We've gone through a long journey to find the greatest ones, and we really lean in and together. And we call them vendor partners for a reason, because we truly believe they are a partner in our business. And I think with transparency, honesty, we've, I'll even mention one, when we were going through some tough times there, I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Lancaster, our equipment dealer. When we couldn't make a couple payments, said, don't worry, we know you guys are good for it. We know you're going to come out of this and be a stronger company. And because of that, my loyalty is deep to companies like that. A new company that we just started doing partnership with, Fresh Concepts. We didn't know what they were doing, but it helped really supporting us and getting wonderful transparency and all the rebate game with all of our produce. So our produce costs, and people don't realize how important that is.
Mhm.
It's not like we're the restaurant business. It's not making billions. Our margins are so thin. Um, and we really want to try and get more produce into our guests' stomachs, and even in not just our guests, but just in the communities. Most meals are so laced with just a protein and a starch, and a well balanced diet is protein, starch, and a veggie. Right? Not to go too deep into that journey, but really trying to get more produce into our communities is there. And you can't do it unless you have your vendor partners going in and finding more creative ways to to reduce friction.
Love it. Yeah, produce is certainly center of the plate for Bolay, which I've never asked where the name comes from. How did you get the name Bolay?
Yeah, so we made it up. Great story. It was on the back of a napkin, as every great story. It was the most difficult part. So try coming up with a name in today's day and age. It's already IP, the URL's already taken. It's something, it means some negative thing in some foreign country. You never know. So we made the word up, and it stemmed from, I was always a huge fan of the Bolay sunglasses and the connection to adventure. And then so from there, it just said Bolay, and it was bowl. And then one of my best friends, Alex Brown, said, Olay, to have fun. Bolay, and then we then have transpired to say Olay bowl to have fun building a bowl. And then I got a long lesson on how to go buy the URL and stayed up till 4 a.m. finding a URL negotiator, and we finally got it where we own the URL. But it's been a journey.
Wow. So interesting. That's true. It's getting harder and harder to break into business in this day and age. There's names and titles for everything out there. So I love that. Thanks
Yeah,
for sharing.
yeah,
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit more personally about you. These are questions that I'm extremely curious, already knowing you a little bit. So you're an adventure enthusiast. Like we talked about the entrepreneurial spirit in you. Obviously, you've presented this incredible brand that's growing. But by nature, day in, day out, you love the thrill, you love the excitement. You're an athlete. Can you explain ways that actually works for you in business, but then potentially some ways that you feel that holds you back or can be a risk, either in decision making, that you might be able to share with the audience here who kind of models the same spirit?
yeah. Wonderful question. So, in regards to the athletic, aspiring, I wouldn't call myself this massive athlete. I'm always aspiring, right? Because there's so many people who are so much more talented than I am. But I think that drive, that ability to still compete, even into our, our older ages as we get older, that competition that still gets the heartbeat going, signing up for a race, the jitters that I still get every time I show up. And, I come back and the fuel and then the forward thinking on it all. When I can play team sports, like I still get out there and try and play polo with some friends, the ability to go out there and win as a team or lose as a team. And that
Mhm.
is exactly what happens in business. You
Mhm.
win as a team or you lose as a team.
Mm.
And, we take that very seriously. I can't do every single thing in this business. We all, I say we, not I, we all rely on each other to do our parts and be successful. And teamwork is one of our number one core values. And it's what fuels us. And then I think the competitive nature to win is really deep because I think, you know, you're either winning or losing in some shape or form. And this, like any industry, it's super competitive, and the share of stomach, the share of everything. You gotta kind of dig deep every day. Um, Now, the second part of your question, the entrepreneurship, how I see that as a negative, my boundless curiosity and ability to ask 1,000 million questions and be so curious about the new greatest tech or this,
Mm.
um, and distract the team. So
Yeah.
I'm very cognizant of that. And I've gone through a journey, a learning lesson of just how much the team can handle with everything they're doing, versus the new greatest shiny object that I've seen out there to bring back to our team when they're already working on the last 10 shiny objects that we brought back. So that balance is really important. um,
Mhm.
and it's easy, and I feel that I still need a good break check every now and then on there.
Yeah.
And that's why we've got a great team around me that I think they're all my team around me, they're all so much brighter than I am, and harder working than I am. And I'm just honored to be around such wonderful people. And that's what they say. Surround yourself with people that are better than you and you'll win.
Oh my gosh, I think every entrepreneur can hear your answer to that and relate, in terms of just being a natural visionary and having so many ideas. I think I've heard a couple people just explain, I have to keep a whiteboard up in my office because the ideas come and I can't help it, and I need to just put them down somewhere. And that way, when my team is ready, I can slowly hand them off to them.
Well, I got a great one for that. Probably, as you and I both know, when you run, man,
Yeah.
oh man. If you can tell anybody, you don't need to be this crazy triathlete or this 100-mile runner like you are, my machine animal friend. Um, you just got to get out there and
Yeah.
get that amazing brain just firing on all cylinders. And my creativity comes when I'm on a run. And I constantly am stopping, pulling out the phone, taking notes down. I have notes and notes and notes. And then to protect the team, I go back and I categorize it. And sometimes you look back at the stuff you've written, you're like, what was I thinking? And
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, wow, that was genius. Let's roll with that
Yeah.
one. And so again, that whiteboard to go back to later is wonderful, whatever board you use.
Yeah, and a good reminder to shut the content off. I got into a great role of listening to some good music on every run and or a podcast, and did it so frequently that I went for one of my first runs yesterday in a long time without my phone, without my AirPods in, and just quiet. And to your point, I mean, it's got so many ideas, and it really was a gift to be, clear headed for that. So that's yeah, absolutely can relate to that.
Yeah, we all need a break from technology. It's around us at every corner.
We sure do. All right. How about this one? You are often known to bring your family through your restaurants and involve your kiddos in what you do. Tell me about that experience and what has been, most heart filling in that end for you.
So I grew up obviously in the restaurant business, and we were, pretty poor family. My father was working his butt off to create Outback Steakhouse, and I'll never forget how much time we spent on those couches. We couldn't afford babysitters, and we would climb up on the walls and steal the koala bears. And it's just part of me because what it showed, it demonstrated me just hard work. And I watched my father, and I think, like any animal, when you watch your you know surroundings, you learn.
Mhm.
Um, and so I love bringing my kids to the restaurants with me. And when I go on my restaurant tours on the weekends, my daughter, 9 years old, she's a beautiful human being. Dad, can I jump on the cash register? I say,
Mm.
yeah, but when the line gets busy, you have to jump off. But she just loves it. My son loves work in the dining room. And I think when you instill, whether they want to ever get in the restaurant business or not one day, um, hard work at an early age, and believing that no matter what, that this is what the business comes from, and serving the others. And we have a really neat principle here in Bolay too, because I remember my father used to, when Outback got bigger, um, took us in. He allowed me to come into some of his meetings,
Mm.
and what a privilege it is for someone young who's looking up, where the world is, to be able to get access into these high corporate meetings. And so we have a policy here at Bolay that anybody can bring any of their kids into one of our meetings, to watch and learn. Obviously, if it's a super confidential, which we don't have very many of those, um, meeting, they can learn and be inspired to want to get into business and just kind of look at that. So I've always been, um, I don't know, it's always just been a little bit part of who we are.
Oh, I love that. How about the people behind the scenes at Bolay that bring your company to life? Anyone that comes to mind and why?
Well, I have 800 of them, and you can start from everywhere from Mark, who's been with us for 9 years, at Northlake, and he's just the most incredible team ever prep, and constantly making our food perfect every day. And that dedication. Haley started as a cashier. Now she's one of our top operating partners running a restaurant, just kind of
Wow.
grow through the ranks and just show that hard work, dedication, and, just a smile. Show up every day with a smile, and you're going to win. Um, our new incredible, COO Shannon, our VP of Ops Chef, VP of Ops Excellence. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
Mhm.
You know, Kareem down in Coral Springs, who just holds down a kitchen like I've never seen. This gentleman can, you talk about an immaculate work environment on top of handling a line out the door. Uh, it inspires me because we always tell great chefs aren't dirty. The food's supposed to be on the bowl, not on your uniform.
Oh,
Little
it's so
industry tip.
awesome. Love it. Pro tip right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Wrapping up, most recently you guys got together for your operators summit. What is something that you feel is most valuable besides just that in-person presence that you get by being together? Do you guys involve a keynote speaker? Do you have any demonstrations? Anything that you might be able to share that is truly valuable, again, as a result of just kind of bringing your whole brand together for a multi-day event like that, or a single day event?
You first and foremost, you hit on the nail on the head. Getting human beings together, getting them outside of their restaurant, the collaboration, the energy of human beings together, right? You can't ever underestimate how powerful that is. Then we bring our vendor partners together. And so we
Mhm.
allow them to get a view into our world. And then you'll see me on the stage ask, hey guys, what are your challenges, as to our operating partners? All the vendor partners are here. Go talk to them. And then
Yeah.
let's make it faster and better. And so them to get to hear it, not through me, but directly from, the front lines voices. And I think, how often do they get to do that? Um, and then the reward recognition. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
our people are so hard, and to be able to reward and recognize top performers, And we actually just created a new Champions Club this year. We're going to take our top performers onto a very special trip, which we're still working on all the details, but we're super excited for that around the corner.
Oh, it's so cool. Something that I thought was really interesting at RLC this year is Lisa with White Castle spoke, and there's a multi-generation company, family owned, so 4 different generations where culture has kind of changed or the values in each generation has changed over time. And so she answered the interesting question about how do you, support employees from all these different decades and understand like what means the most to them. And she said most recently in our current day and age, recognition is very, very important to employees. So we make sure to find ways to recognize them. And yeah, being at some of these events as a vendor myself, I feel so grateful and honored to be invited to go there because it is so interesting to see the pulse of the brand that I don't think a lot of people who just are able to go out and eat it and enjoy it get to experience. And it's the culture, it's the values the brand is grounded in. And then it's just engaging with the operators and hearing their why behind, why this brand, why do you work for this brand? So cool.
Yeah, and you realize how important it is not to become a receiver and a sender of emails. Good
Yeah.
old fashioned dialogue, face to face, talk, handshakes, laughs, camaraderie. That's what truly builds great partnerships and relationships.
Love it. Okay, I'm going to finish with what I call final mile. So these are rapid answer questions. First one is what tool in your workday saves you the most time?
Lately, AirPods. I hate them, but I love them.
Hmm.
Yes.
How about to the next generation of supply chain, procurement, or even founders like yourself? What's the best secret you're willing to share?
Do not use too much technology. Do not get too into the data. Data is wonderful. It is awesome. But there's something about being in the restaurant that supersedes data. There's a feeling, you say, oh, we're overscheduling, too many team members, not enough team members, ordering too much food, not enough food. Walk in the walk-in cooler and look.
Yeah.
Walk into the restaurant and feel, do you have too many team members on to accomplish the mission of taking care of your guests? And sometimes, everybody says we're data driven. We are, and we are, but man, oh man, can you just get lost in it? And I see the greatest of businesses try and just thrive around data. And it's not, you didn't start the business from data. So, how are you running it only from data? And I have to check. I'm not an expert in that. I have to check myself in that aspect as well.
It's a good answer. Get in the restaurant. How about a mentor? Who's been a mentor for you and in what way?
I would always, my father, right? His ability to dream. Everybody, it's cliche to say your father, but I got one that's pretty special. He's I call him a cat because he's lived 9 lives in the stage of one. I mean, his ability to dream, to see around the corner, to inspire, to think outside the box, to say, hey, that's not big enough. Hey, I would say, hey, Dad, how much should we charge that? Put it in front of a guest, ask him how much they think it's worth.
Hmm.
There's no data behind that. And so, you know, and his ability to put together teams. And I've seen, with him, he's won the US Open 5 times by selecting the best players in the world, which isn't easy to do, and then giving them the tools to go be successful and win. I saw that when he built the team around Outback, when he supported me in building the team around Bolay. I would say, he's probably my greatest mentor. And then I'm also just surrounded by incredible best friends from college that have all gone off and started businesses. So we all kind of have a fun little, push each other and share ideas and, constantly collaborate and realize we can all learn from each other. That's a great idea. Hey, send me that guy's contact. And I think you are who you surround yourself with. That's the greatest lesson I've always been taught.
How about your proudest moment in life so far?
Oh, well, both the kids, right? Obviously my children, that's the easy layup, but they really truly are.
Uh,
Um, but the proudest moment I would say is for me personally is when we were selected for of the year, and my father won the award too. So I don't know if there's any other father-son duo out there. I thought that was a pretty special victory to win. Um, and then really seeing our team members, when I see like our Haley go from a cashier to now an operating partner running a multi-million dollar business.
So
It's
cool.
just so cool. Our industry, not very many industries can do that. College resume is not as important. It's really, can you work harder than everybody else, and can you take care of guests better than anybody else and learn and do it with a smile? And this industry is so beautiful in that aspect.
Oh, Chris, today has been awesome. You, like I said at the beginning, you are someone who truly inspires me. You light people up when you talk to them. But talking to you today, you've said so much that I know many audience members will appreciate, and especially just a reminder of the spirit of hospitality, which is what this business is all about, and how to truly serve the guests. If there's
Yeah.
someone listening that wants to get a hold of you, where can people find you? Some people offer LinkedIn, company website. Let us know here now where the best place for people to get a hold of you is.
Yeah, of course, like everybody, I have 50 different channels of communication. And unfortunately, it's hard to stay on top of any one of them. But LinkedIn is always a great one. Chris Gannon on LinkedIn. And then I think my Instagram is Chief Chris Gannon from Chief Osceola. When I was Chief Osceola at Florida State University. So Chief Chris Gannon. Uh, on Instagram. I try and get back to all those messages there. But happy to support anybody with any questions they might have. Give advice, of what not to do more than what to do. I love that, because I will tell you, as any leader, I truly believe if you found success to whatever level, you have a duty to give back, because at one point in time, you didn't get there without someone helping you. And so pay it back, because I remember from being a little kid to the speakers coming in my classroom, to the college professors, to mentors, um, to a wonderful young lady named Lauren inspiring us to run before a conference. We're going to be on our feet all day. You just never know where inspiration is going to come from. So we as leaders have a duty to pay it back uh, to the next crop of rock stars.
Thank you, Chris. This has been an awesome episode. Thank you, listeners, for showing up. If you learned something today or laughed, please tell someone, share this episode, and of course, reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Grounded. We've covered a lot of ground as we explored what it really takes to run food service behind the scenes. For show notes, highlights, and our latest market insights, visit us at groundedonthepod.com. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, delivering smarter solutions, greater efficiency, and real savings through connected tech, powerful data, and industry expertise. For more information and to get a personal demo of the Buyer's Edge platform, email me at lauren.mitchell@producealliance.com. And if you liked what you heard, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.